Hey guys, it's COREROSS and welcome to 6 News. So Siege X is launching on June 10th. Today we have all the times and details along with patch sizes. And we're also going to look at system requirements for both PC and console because of course the game has had a graphical upgrade and as a result you might actually not be able to play some of the game modes or get the same FPS you used to. And we've also got a brand new Elite coming on June 12th and then on June 17th we basically have an Elite. So we'll have a look at that as well. Now, before we move on screen right now is the launch times for Siege X. So you can see it's June 10th, but for some parts of the world, of course, because of time zones, it's actually June 11th. I would also add on a little bit of extra time to all of these, just because maintenance sometimes doesn't go smoothly, or you might jump into the new season, but the battle pass hasn't yet been activated or stuff like that. It'll all eventually roll out completely, but usually there's bumps along the way. So we'll start by looking at the Siege X launch all you need to know blog, and this will be linked in the description below if you want to go check it out. Of course, you've got your times that I've just shown on the screen previously. We've got the Siege X availability. So Siege X is available on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 with an asterisk. We've got the Xbox Series X and S, the Xbox One with an asterisk. We've got Ubisoft Connect, Epic Game Store, Steam, and PC Windows, and will be available on Ubisoft Plus. Now, this is the asterisk part. And it is the dual-front game mode is not supported on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. So this is the 6v6 mode. So you can do your normal Rainbow Six Siege and all the playlists, but you cannot jump in to the dual-front game mode. But at least that's the only thing. I'm also curious what the revamped maps will look like on the older consoles, because I'm presumably don't look much better than they did, but who knows. Then we've got the progression and inventory carryover. Now, the carryover make it sound like this is a new game or something like this, but this is just an update to Rainbow Six Siege. So they're adding an X to the end of the name, and X in Roman numerals is 10, so this is the 10th year. It's just a bigger than normal update to the game, so this is just a new season, and that's exactly how you should think of it. You're just going into a new season of Siege. There's nothing normal, so all your progression, your inventory, everything, because Siege X is Rainbow Six Siege. However, this does come with some bonuses, so you're going to get your veteran rewards when you log in. Now, that might not be immediately after the servers are back up. It might take a little bit of time before they switch this on. Like I say earlier, things can not exactly go smooth, and sometimes they also roll things out one after the other so that they don't just switch them all on in one go and then potentially break everything. They can switch things on one at a time. So you're going to get veteran rewards for simply opening the game, and you'll get a reward for every year that you played Rainbow Six Siege. And that is all determined by your Ubisoft account. So if you play on console, for instance, you've already linked your Ubisoft account because that's how you can play multiplayer in Siege. So your Ubisoft account is the kind of thing that figures out how long you've been playing for. Now let's move on to PC specs. So the PC specs are changing because, of course, the graphics are going up. This is going to be the same for the consoles, which we'll go over shortly after this. But you can see that they recommend this stuff for the minimum. Now, you're going to notice they say that if you want high or ultra, you must have Windows 11. And that's bullshit. You don't. You're going to be able to run all the graphics you want at the best settings you want with Windows 10. You do not have to go to Windows 11. Now, I assume they're probably planning for the future here, slapping Windows 11 on, so that if a new feature that is limited to Windows 11 comes in the future, they can say, oh, well, you need that for the higher settings. So right now, this is not a problem. You shouldn't have any issues running Rainbow Six Siege at the highest settings on Windows 10. And then if you noticed a drop in FPS due to the switch over to DirectX 12 a while back, you're probably going to notice a drop in FPS again with Siege X because, of course, it's being graphically improved. And they have some graphs and stuff around you can go check out, see where you can set with your overall settings. But for minimum specs, we're looking at a Ryzen 3 and an Intel i3. So these are pretty low-end CPUs, but not as low-end as they used to be for Siege's requirements, of course. But you can see here for the minimum requirements, you can still run this game on a potato, but not nearly as a potato as it was previously. So you've still got a lot of low-end hardware to choose from, but certainly Siege is definitely pushed up in the requirements. So now we'll move on to console. And then for console, we have one big change. So for Core Siege, you're going to get your 120 FPS. So Core Siege is your 5v5 attacker defender roles, but it's only going to support 60 FPS in dual front. So this means, let's say you play some Core Siege and you've got a really nice monitor and you can really feel those FPS. Then you go over and play dual front. You're going to feel that drop down to 60, but at least it is 60. However, it's a pity that, of course, we're not getting 120 on console. And then you've got your quality setting, which will give you a target performance of 60 FPS. Same resolution it's rendering at. However, I assume there's probably a few graphical settings put up for the quality. However, this might simply be the same settings, but they're just, doing a simple difference in FPS target. Then we've got the PlayStation 5 Pro, the most powerful console right now that's out, and it's going to give 120 FPS in Core Siege, but again, only 60 FPS in dual front in the performance mode. So this is definitely a surprise for me, and maybe in the future they can pump this up to 120, because that is a little bit sad. Then we've got the quality, which is going to be this. Target performance is 60. Then we've got the Xbox Series S. Now, you can see this is the underpowered console, so the weakest one out of them all, and it's going to render at 1080p, and you can see it can do 120 on Core Siege and 60 in dual front, or you can go for quality, which goes up in resolution and goes for 60 FPS. Then we've got the Series X, which is going to give us nice resolution, good FPS in Core Siege, and the 60 in dual front, and then the quality is going to be that target 60 FPS, but rendering at the same resolution. And again, moving on for next, we have our patch sizes. So Ubisoft Connect is 50, Steam is 50, Xbox One is 37, X and S is 57, PlayStation 4 is 48, and PlayStation 5 is 41. And that means the takeaway here is that dual front is going to be harder to play on both console and PC, and will definitely reduce your frame rate compared to your core Siege experience, which is your 5v5 attacker defender roles. Now let's talk about another big change, and that is that the game is going free to play, but it's using a tiered system. So that means you can jump in and you can play the game for free, but you'll need to pay to play ranked, as that'll be part of a premium edition. Now, if you already own Rainbow Six Siege, then you already own the premium edition of Siege X, because again, it's just an update from the game. It's not a new game or anything like that. So if you own Siege, you have the premium edition. Now, what I don't know, and this still has not been answered, is what the heck is happening with Game Pass? Because Game Pass, of course, can't have a free-to-play game on Game Pass. That would just be free. So presumably Game Pass is going to have the premium edition that you can go and play. Tons of people play the Game Pass edition. So I would imagine it's going to remain on Game Pass. There's certainly no indication from Microsoft that Siege is about to leave Game Pass. So I assume it stays, and you will then get the premium edition on Game Pass. That's my guess, but it hasn't been officially answered by Microsoft or Ubisoft at this point. We also know that because of a new partnership with the Pro League, that Xbox Game Pass owners will also get bonus items now in-game every single season. So it looks like we're going to get some nice bonuses if you're a Game Pass owner. And then generally for consoles, another unanswered question, and again, this is Sony, Microsoft, and Ubisoft that just haven't bothered to say yet, is if you need the usual subscription services that are required for online play on consoles to play multiplayer games. But of course, free-to-play games do not require those subscriptions. So you could cancel those subscriptions and play Rainbow Six Siege for free from now on without having any subscription needs on console, potentially dramatically reducing costs if you're a one-game gamer who just wants to play Siege all the time, or simply sticks to free-to-play games. But that so far has been unanswered. Now, when it comes to new cosmetics when the game launches, there's planned to be a Clash Elite, which will launch on June 12th, a couple of days after the Siege X launch. And then a couple of days after that, on the 17th, you're going to have basically an Elite, which is going to be this whole new thing with Valkyrie getting a brand new outfit and like a weapon skin that explodes when you inspect it and turns into a sword. Now, the great thing is this is client side only. So the other player who's looking at you inspecting your weapon is going to see none of this, which is brilliant. But for your perspective, you're going to see this gun like explode in your face. So yeah, you can go and spend your money on that if you want. I am not a big cosmetic dude, so I don't care. But anyway, that's going to be what I'll call an Elite, because it's just going to be more expensive than a normal Elite. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. We'll do a quick conclusion here, which is that on June 10th, Rainbow Six Siege X launches, which is an update to Rainbow Six Siege. It adds an X on the end, so if you still own Rainbow Six Siege, you own X Premium as well. You'll also get a bunch of free rewards just for booting the game up, so you get a bunch of nice new cosmetics that are based on how long you've been playing the game for. And you're going to also probably see less FPS overall, especially in dual front, which is the new 6v6 game mode. And of course, it's going free to play. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.